Alright, so this is a suggestion via donation. The name of the video is why Octopus self-destruct after having... I can only guess. Let's get it.
Hey, when it comes to the pleasures of life, moderation is key. Well, if moderation is key, this fur quagmire is the expired debit card that only ever gets touched when you get locked out of your house. Before I even start, because I know how guidelines are, instead of using that 3-letter word to describe something sensually explicit, I'm just going to say cooking. This is an anti-kindness, and it's a marsupial endemic to Australia. What those words mean is that it's actually closer to a kangaroo than to a mouse, and it can only be found one place in the world.
Yeah, but it looks like a mouse.
The land where toilets flush backwards, the landlords
100% Australia, bro.
have pouches, and the mascot's an STD-ravaged plush toy. Anyway, what earns the anti-kindness's video is that they take cooking very seriously.
Okay.
They have a short window to mate since their breeding season lasts 3 months, but they'll only be alive for 2
Bro, but you're still using words like mate and breeding.
to 3 weeks. Which is why male anti-kindnesses mature faster and are ready to go before breeding season actually starts. Also, they can maximize their time in the kitchen. And once the male finally finds a partner to cook with, Hell's Kitchen suddenly becomes more than just a TV show. The anti-kindness will have cooking sessions that can last up to 14 hours. That's like 2 shifts and an overtime. There isn't even a courting process or anything. No foreplay, not even a 2-play.
Guys, that sounds tiring. I'm sorry. It does. Even when I was younger, I'm telling you right now, the thought of that sounds absolutely tiring and wasteful.
The male just marathons anything with a pulse on sight. And you do not want to know what my search history had to look like for me to know that.
Your search history is absolutely atrocious, I'm guessing.
And thanks to NordVPN, nobody ever will. Because NordVPN
do it.
creates an encrypted tunnel for my data and protects my identity by hiding my IP address. Which is honestly better off switching to the hub, by the way. Nah, if my search history ever got leaked, I'd have to change area codes. Which is great because NordVPN lets you change your location and access one of over 5,000 servers in 60
Listen, your segues are absolutely amazing, though.
different countries. So if you want to watch SpongeBob but can't because you live in America and Netflix ain't with that, just know Australia Netflix got you. Also, Nord servers are super fast, so you never have to feel like you're choosing security over speed. And with NordVPN's threat, cop a huge discount, you can on a binge where eating, sleeping, and drinking all take a backseat to the male's goal of multiplying without a calculator. And the male doesn't exactly limit himself to just one partner in the kitchen. Males are able to do this thanks to an increase of steroids in the blood that gives him the energy to cook for so long, while also fighting any other chefs that try to enter his kitchen. But these steroids also nerf the anti-kindness's immune system and can even lead to ulcers. In its simplest form, he literally screws himself over. And even though breeding season's 3 months, about
yeah, guys, it's not that serious.
2 to 3 weeks into his cooking bender, the anti-kindness is already knocking on his creator's door. By this time, he's dehydrated, starving, probably sick, and his body's falling apart as the steroids in his blood now poison him. The constant high levels of testosterone means the stress hormone cortisol never gets shut off. Eventually, it reaches toxic levels that destroys the anti-kindness from the inside as it now bleeds out internally. Like a kid with allergies, the male literally dies for and by the nut. Also, this all happens before the anti-kindness is a year old. Meaning in about 1 trip around the sun, his future children will be experiencing post-acorn clarity in the past tense just like him. Now, you're probably wondering how evolution didn't go ahead and patch this nonsense out.
I'm wondering thoroughly.
Well, 1, the anti-kindness already has a low lifespan, with males having an expiration date of about 11 months and females being lucky if they live long enough to see 2 birthdays. So it actually makes sense for the male to invest everything to knock up as many females as possible if he's going to be dead by the next season anyway. That way, he has a better chance of passing on his genes, even if it means he flatlines before Father's Day. And even though he ghosts the mother in the most literal way possible, she actually has a better chance of raising his children if there's 1 less male around to take up extra resources. But the anti-kindness isn't the only animal on that kind of timing. Squidward is a lot of things, and one of them is a virgin. We know that because if he wasn't, he'd likely be dead. Male octopus have been recorded falling into a catatonic, borderline in the neighborhood of dementia-like state shortly after mating. Specifically, the male giant Pacific octopus will stop eating and lose weight. Not in like the cutting for summer kind of way, since octopus don't store body fat, instead they'll metabolize their own muscles to stay alive. Without food, the he octopus is a perfect candidate for infection as his immune system folds on him just like his will to live. Often these males start having white lesions appear all over their body. The end game is the male either starves to death, gets ripped apart by a predator, or gets factory reset by a fatal virus. Sometimes his date will cut out the middleman completely by hashtagging him herself by strangling him. And not in a fun way either. Speaking of the mother, once her nurse
Is there a fun way, sir?
of eggs finally hatches, it won't be long before they both link up in the afterlife. And you would think pulling a hit and quit on life would be a great way to get your entire population subtracted by evolution, but there is a trade-off. The anti-kindness and the octopus are both semoparous. The SparkNose version is semoparity means you get 1 chance to spread your seed and reproduce, and then it's curtains.
That's probably why that other animal that I am not even going to attempt to pronounce, the one at the bottom, right, cooks for 14 plus hours. You know, you have one chance. You just make it correct.
You get one chance to do the most, and then you become a Facebook post. Semmelparis animals have way more children, and with the parents all mass uninstalling after they're born, the next generation has less competition to deal with. Semmel parity is why the antechinus will literally get some and die trying, and why the male octopus has nothing to live for after he cashes in his V card. They actually did this joke on TV. That's crazy. Some octopus can have up to 50,000 eggs, and they only really need 2 of them to live long enough to keep the cycle going. I mean, hell, Marlin started with 400 of them, only 1 made it to the credits, and we still call it a happy ending. Another advantage of Semmel parity is that the animals do have a shorter lifespan, but they can reproduce a lot faster. An octopus can be born on New Year's, have a midlife crisis in May, kids in August, and be a hashtag before Christmas. Now that's efficiency. Any octopus 3 years or older is just overachieving at that point. In comparison, a mother elephant can raise a baby for 10 years and have a clan of hyenas erase all that in 10 seconds if her back is turned. Speaking of which, on the other side we have Iteroparis animals. Sounding way too much like AP Environmental, but basically what you need to remember is K-selected species are animals like elephants, whales, and us. R-selected are the animals that live fast and expire young, like the antechinus, octopus, and another good example is salmon. I showed this picture earlier, fast and expire young, like the antechinus, octopus.
Yeah, guys, I can definitely tell you that I'm happy we are the way we are, personally. Like the ability to have multiple sets of children throughout your life and have a long lived experience, but who's to say that that's more beneficial? They live fast and they're gone. I don't know, guys. I mean, I think if humans wouldn't. No, guys, we wouldn't have built anything. I think, right? Personally, if we were R-selected, we wouldn't have. How could we have? Right? Like you live your life. I mean, there would probably be a lot more disturbing things happening by us. I would say, if you knew that you could do something super terrible to someone or something, right? Just to know you're going to be gone in a couple of months anyway.
And another good example is salmon. I showed this picture earlier for a reason. They go on a Hannah Baker mission that ends with half of them either starving, tapping out to an infection that the stress of the jihad causes, or just meeting the business end of a bear. The payoff is they can spawn and fertilize thousands of eggs before they exit stage left. K-selected species are usually bigger, have less kids but spend more time raising them, and for all their effort, they get renewed for many more seasons of life. The R's are smaller, have way more kids but are a lot less involved. They're usually the ones that get uppercut by evolution. The best example is probably the Luna moth since, as you already know, they literally don't have a mouth. It's not like they're born without one, nature just snatches it from them when they become adults. They only have about 2 weeks to live and reproduce and only survive off whatever energy they stored as caterpillars. Once that runs out, so does their free trial to life. But it ain't all sweet.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those like in my front yard.
They stored as caterpillars. Once that runs out, so does their
free
trial to life.
What that monstrosity was.
But it ain't all sweet for the K's either, which again includes us.
What is that image? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, sir? I have to see it, so now you do, guys. This is the baby. And the I don't know, the mother maybe just said, oh.
Because there is an evolutionary risk in investing so much time and energy in just one kid. That's a lot of effort for something that can end up just being a walking birth control ad. We tell our kids they can be anything when they grow up, but what happens when that kid decides to be a piece of shit? Not only that, but competition for mating is much more cutthroat for K species. Going back to elephants, mothers can spend over a decade raising a single calf. That's after being pregnant for 22 months. When you're carrying a life for a couple weeks short of 2 years, you're going to do everything in your power to make sure the baby you're carrying isn't 50% scrub. Which is why when a female African elephant's in heat, every eligible male bachelor in the area will run fades with each other. Sometimes until there's one less elephant. Wow. And since the female elephant might not be available for another 5 years, down bad bulls will bury each other if they have to. In the end, it's the strongest bull that gets to be the father, which gives the baby the best genetic chance of survival. But it also means some males get blue-balled in the process. And probably red-pilled too. Long story short, whether you're a horny hamster, 12,000-pound white knight, or a cashier with a crotch worm for a nose, life is pain no matter what you are. But it's a little less painful when you're sponsored by NordVPN. Shout out to them again. For more consistent content, make sure to follow my TikTok and Instagram since I try to post daily on both. To see videos before anyone else does, be sure to join my Patreon. Other than that, drink water, hug your mother. Don't like and don't subscribe, because if you really wanted to, you would have done it by now. And have a good one. Oh, and be glad you're not an octopus.
Alright, guys, again, these R-selected and K-selected thing, that thing is super cool. I never heard of it ever in my life, right? I've known some creatures lived extremely short lives, but not really as short as we just learned here today. And also, I don't think that if we were like what any of these are selected beings, well, obviously we would have stayed tiny. We'd be babies. So yeah, no, our species couldn't exist as that anyway. So, all right. Either way, listen. Let me know in the comments the next thing from him that I should be checking out, and I will get into that as soon as I possibly can. All right. And listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day thoroughly.